Are you losing valuable marks in IELTS Speaking Part 3? Well, let me show you a simple formula to give Band 7 Plus answers. Hello, it's Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy. Here, why am I here? Here to help you become a more confident speaker of English. Today, I'm going to show you how to handle IELTS Speaking Part 3 questions. Okay, we're going to look at some common topics, the typical questions that you get in IELTS Speaking Part 3, and my secret formula. 4 things that help you give Band 7 Plus answers. I'm going to show you these things one by one in 4 different questions so that it is crystal clear for you. Okay? Now remember, in Part 3, you do need to develop your answers, right? Maybe speaking for up to a minute if the examiner allows you. Sometimes they interrupt you. And of course, you're evaluated on fluency, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. But the secret is, how do you optimize for all of these? This is what I'm going to show you. There is a PDF up here with all of these answers and the full analysis, which is really going to help you in your preparation. Okay, let's begin. Okay, the first part of the secret formula, remember there are 4 things. The first one is connectors. Connectors, cohesive devices, it's how you link your ideas. And this helps your fluency a lot. Now, you don't want to use written formal connectors, like firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally. And also because your structure is not going to be like that. It's going to be much more of a flow. But you do need to connect your ideas with natural spoken connectors. So let me show you a model answer. This is for the topic of sport, very, very common. The question is, what kind of sports are popular in your country? Very typical question in Part 3. What kind of blah, blah, blah is popular in your country? So let's have a look at this answer. See if you can spot the connectors. And I'll give you a clue. They're usually at the beginning of the sentence. Not always, but usually. Let's have a look.
Well, to be honest, I think most people are into individual sports like swimming and running. I guess one reason is that they help people switch off mentally, and of course, both are a great way to keep fit. So, for instance, most mornings, most parks near me are full of people jogging really early in the morning. Having said all that, some people do enjoy team sports like football, but more to watch rather than to play. I'd say Manchester City are the most popular team right now. I actually sometimes go to see them play. There's a great atmosphere at their matches.
Right, nice answer, hey? So if you have a look here, you can see, think of connectors as a bit like signposts. Boom, boom. They're pointing the way, telling the examiner what's coming next. So here we begin with, well, to be honest, and that tells the examiner, I'm going to give my opinion. Honestly, well, to be honest, da, da, da. And then the next, I guess one reason is that. So here it's kind of saying, I'm going to tell you the reason why people like individual sports. It's referring backwards. It's connecting that idea. Okay. And he goes on then. So for instance, clearly, I'm going to give an example of what I've just talked about. Nice. For instance, for example. Then later he says, having said all of that, now this is basically a kind of a counter idea or an opposite connector. We've kind of said all of this is positive, but this is negative. Or all of this is negative, but this is positive. It's a counter, an opposite. Having said all of that, you can say, having said that, if you're just going to counter the previous sentence. If you've been talking a lot, like here, you can say, having said all of that, I now think something opposite or slightly different. Yeah. Similar words are, but, that said, mind you, however, also, you could say. Okay. This kind of counter idea connector. Very, very useful, very nice. And that's a great structure to use, right? Say something that's kind of positive and then, mind you, something a little bit opposite. Okay, lovely idea. So you can see here, different connectors. That is the first part of your magic formula. Let's move on to number 2. Right, the second part of the secret formula is topic-specific vocabulary. Now this is what it says on the tin. It's vocabulary that is specific to a certain topic. Topics in part 3, environment is a big one. And there are many subtopics. So do remember in IELTS Speaking Part 3, you'll probably get a subtopic of a bigger category. So in environment, they may ask you about ecotourism, pollution, deforestation. Electric vehicles is a big one nowadays. Now with electric vehicles, topic-specific vocabulary could be things like the charging station, where you charge it, exhaust fumes, the pollution from your car, carbon footprint, carbon neutral, lots of things like that. Now the secret is to focus on collocations. That's 2 or 3 words that go together. Carbon footprint, carbon neutral, environmental issues, charging station, right? These kind of 2 or 3 words that frequently go together. These are so powerful. Yes, individual words are good, but collocations are that's where the gold is at. That's where that's the really powerful one, right? So if you can use these kind of collocations, topic-specific vocabulary, you're well on your way to a band 7, 8 or more. Okay, so let's have a look. A specific example, talking about electric vehicles. Let's watch this answer. The question is, why are electric vehicles becoming more popular in some countries? See if you can spot the topic-specific vocabulary.
I think one of the main reasons is that governments are offering generous incentives, such as tax breaks and free charging stations. I think as well, people are becoming much more aware of environmental issues, so they're looking for ways to reduce their carbon footprint. For instance, in my country, there's been a huge push to replace old petrol cars with EVs, and the number of charging points has doubled in the last 2 years. So as a result, I think electric cars feel far more practical and affordable than they used to be.
What a nice answer, right? Now, if you look, did you spot the kind of the topic-specific vocabulary and collocations? Let's have a look. We've got generous incentives. So the incentives are they could be financial incentives or something else, something the government gives you to encourage you to use EVs. Charging stations, the place where you put the electricity into your car. Environmental issues, right? Notice it's environmental with the adjective, environmental issues. Carbon footprint, how much CO2 you put into the air. We also had charging points, which is the same really as a charging station. There are other words in here, a lovely vocabulary, but these are very topic specific, and that's going to show off clearly to the examiner that you can talk confidently on this subtopic. So that, my friend, is secret number 2, is your topic specific vocabulary. Let's move on to number 3. Right, so number 3, we've had 1 connectors, 2 topic-specific vocabulary. Number 3 is mixed grammar. Obviously, this is your grammar, but this is where many students make mistakes. They think, I have to use complex grammar all the time. No, you need a mix of simple grammar and complex grammar. Don't be simple all the time. Don't be complex all the time. In the middle, it's a mixed grammar, right? Now, this is hard to show you because there's so much grammar, right? But just be aware of things like tense, present, past, future, different aspects. Is it perfect, continuous, simple, voices, passive, active? And then, things like use of adverbs, adverbial phrases, adjectives, noun phrases. Being aware of all of these as you're learning and using your grammar. There's too much to think of, I know. So what we'll do, we'll watch a model answer and just have a look at the different grammatical items. Just notice or tell me in the comments which ones jump out at you, right? And then we'll have a closer look. We're going to look at the topic of shopping, which is a big topic. Subtopics could be shopping online, brick and mortar shops, fashion and consumerism, I guess. Here we've got a very general question, which is how has shopping changed in recent years? Another classic part 3 question. How has changed in recent years? Think about it. You can talk about the past, the present, right? There's already opportunities there in the question for different tenses. Let's watch and just notice different grammatical points here, how we have a mix of simple and complex. Here we go.
Over the past decade, shopping has changed dramatically, at least in my country. I would say the biggest shift is that now most people buy things online rather than going to physical stores. You get faster delivery, easy returns, and a wider range of products. For example, if I want to buy a book, I can order it with one click and it arrives the next day. At the same time, clearly, traditional shops have had to adapt. To avoid disappearing, some of them now offer in-store experiences or delivery services like some of the big supermarkets.
Very nice answer. So, there is a lot to unpack here, but there is clearly a mixture of more complex and simple grammar. Let's have a little look. We've got, at the very start, shopping has changed dramatically. So shopping has changed, present perfect. Classic, if you're talking about recently or something in the past to the present, it has changed. And a nice adverb, dramatically. Really good language, right? And here's a nice little trick. He says, at least in my country. When you're asked about something that is so general, you can just say blah, 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 at least in my country. So you're kind of saying this is true in my context. It's lovely English, at least in my country, right? And then we've got the biggest shift. Big, bigger, biggest. It's the superlative. The biggest change or the biggest shift. So it's, it's good language. And shortly after that, we've got a wider range of products. Wide, wider, widest. It's a comparative, comparing two things. So you've got superlative and comparative. Then there comes a simple conditional clause. It's a modal conditional. If I want a book, I can order it. Nothing complex, but it's nice. Next, we've got another present perfect. If the traditional shops have had to adapt, have had to. Present perfect, again, nice. And the last one I notice is simple, but it's correct. Avoid disappearing. Not avoid to disappear. No, not infinitive, gerund. Avoid disappearing. Avoid doing something. It's simple, but if it's correct, it will be noticeable. It not impresses the examiner, it's noticeable, right? So here, what I want to show you is that kind of mixture of simple and complex, a wide range of grammar, right? Don't obsess with complicated. Don't be simple. Don't be complicated. Be somewhere in the middle, right? That's number 3. Let's move on to number 4. How exciting. Right, we're at the 4th one. So we've had connectors, topic-specific vocabulary, mixed grammar. Number 4 is examples. And examples is where you give yourself the opportunity to develop your answer and to show a wider range of language. We're going to have a look here for the topic of reading. It's a popular topic, books, reading, libraries. The question is, how will libraries change in the future? Now, immediately you can be thinking, grammar, future, present, conditionals, hypothesis, maybe. But here we're focusing on examples. Let's watch and see if you can find the example that this person gives. Here we go.
Looking ahead, I think libraries will become far more digital and interactive. Instead of shelves full of paper books, we'll probably see digital libraries where people borrow ebooks or access online courses. For example, where I live, many libraries already offer free audiobooks and language learning platforms, and I dare say that trend will continue. The main library in my town actually offers workshops for children and pensioners, study spaces, and a coffee shop. It's become a real community hub, so maybe the future is more about providing learning experiences rather than just books.
Great, what a lovely answer. Now, here, they actually use a very, very simple signpost, right? Indicating there's an example. For example, da 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 da. The example she gives is where she lives, many libraries offer free audiobooks, etc. And then she goes on to talk about the main library, a specific example that offers workshops and so on. So in effect, 2 examples. And just look at how that opens up the chance for richer language. Talks about audiobooks, language learning platforms, community hubs. It's really, really nice. So examples, right, are a key part of this secret formula. Okay, so there you have your formula for your Band 7 Plus answers for IELTS Speaking Part 3. You've got your connectors, topic-specific vocabulary, mixed grammar, and examples. CTME. Okay, now then, what I don't want you to do is to now go away and start writing answers that include all of this. Don't do that. It doesn't work. What I want you to do is to take these questions, go and give your answers naturally and record yourself. And then when you listen back, think about, have I used connectors? Could I use better vocabulary for this topic? Is my grammar, is it mixed? Is it too simple? And is there an example? And kind of evaluate your own answer after you've done it, listening, and then do it again, trying to improve it. That's the way to study, right? Okay, let's do one together. I have recorded myself giving an answer to a question. I've taken the topic of social media, which is a buzzing topic, right? Question is, why do some people dislike social media? Have a listen. Let's listen together and see. I'd like you to evaluate the connectors, the topic-specific vocabulary, the kind of grammar, and is there an example? Let's have a look. Well, I think there are several reasons. So some people might feel it can be addictive and it can take up far too much of their time. For instance, scrolling social media feeds, it's like a drug. And people, they'll often scroll for hours without realizing it. I guess another reason is that sometimes it creates pressure because everyone seems to show the most perfect life, which can make you feel extremely inadequate. On top of that, I guess there are concerns about privacy and how companies use personal data. But to be fair, companies like Meta have told us their policies and we have a choice not to use it. But if they've already got you hooked, it's hard to give up. How did you do? Well, having a quick look, you can see here, connectors, there's quite a lot. I think there are several reasons. For instance, I guess another reason is, and then we've got plenty of, I'd say, topic-specific vocabulary, addictive, scrolling, privacy, personal data. The grammar is quite simple, lots of present simple. It can, I think there are, but it goes on, it talks about the most perfect life, superlative, extremely inadequate, adverb. And at the end, yes, you've got, they have told us, they have got us hooked. So present perfect, mixing it up a little bit. There is an example, right? For instance, it's a short example, but it's there. So not bad, Keith, not bad at all. Okay, great. So what score would you give me? It's difficult because you don't get a score for one answer. You get a score for the whole test, right? And again, don't feel you have to use all of these in every answer. You use them across the whole part 3 in particular, right? Not for every single answer. Think bigger picture. If you want to get all of these, the questions, the answers, a full breakdown, full analysis that you can use as a way to review and practice, go and download the PDF. It's all in there, full details. You'll find out how to use this formula of connectors, topic-specific vocabulary, grammar, mixed grammar, and examples. Actually, if you go back and listen to this video again, you're going to notice every single answer actually does have all of these. Now, that's not always the case. I've done that deliberately to show you this. But in your test, some questions and answers will, some won't. But over the whole part 3, you want to get a good mixture of this formula, right? Also, please don't just copy these answers. Don't memorize them, the exact same answer. Steal the ideas, steal the phrases, and go and use those in your daily practice. That's how you're going to get better at English, not memorizing the whole answer. I hope that makes sense. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've learned something new here, and I hope you can start using this in your practice. If you've enjoyed it, subscribe, get the PDF. Ooh, why not join the channel? Become a YouTube channel member, my channel member. That way you get access to more videos, more model answers, lots of interesting chats that I have with you in the private area of my channel. It's $2 a month, price of a coffee. Much more valuable than a coffee, I think. Anyway, check it out. There's a link all down in the description below. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. As always, I've enjoyed it, and I will see you soon. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.